Terrarian in the Dungeon, Chapter 14b, Fan Fiction by Azazyel. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel for listening and patreon.com/Azazyel to read all of his stories. Honestly, I was hoping the Slime King to land perfectly fine so they would respect and fear the Terraria bosses more. But the man was a level 6 mage and his offensive power left nothing to be desired. With a soft thumping noise, I saw a blue bag that could carry a good-sized shoe box land in front of Hedin. Dude. You didn't even let us to touch the boss, we didn't get a goodie bag, you asshole. I yelled out aggrievedly as my first boss's experience was ruined. Is this what it's like being a girl and your guy jizzes at the sight of some tits or something? Ah. My apologies. Was this Monster Rex supposed to be something interesting? Hedin spoke arrogantly and I wanted to stomp and have a tantrum as the elf bent over and picked up what should have been all of us having a goodie bag. But from where the king slime had died, I noticed its non-goodie bag item landed on the ground with a soft thud, so I walked over to get it and saw that the king slime trophy was on the ground. What's that? Ace asked softly as she saw me pick up the large plaque that showed king slime. A trophy. Now let's see what Hedin got out of his goodie bag. I said after I also scooped up the large golden crown that was next to the plaque so I could resummon the boss again. As with Calamity I didn't need to make a new spawner each time I wanted to fight a boss. I am going to summon it again. Hedin, at least let us whack the thing. I scolded the elf with the man's eyebrows visibly twitching and I saw Otter tense, and the elf did the same as he side-eyed the giant who was beside him before he loosened up. What is inside the bag? Otter grunted and I shrugged. There are like half a dozen items possibly in the bag. Let's just get some more bags, that way we can show our goddess some of the magical stuff as the bags only have a couple of things at once. I explained and the man grunted in approval. It's fine, the slime seems much less dangerous than the Goliath other than its acid. But with your trident it shouldn't be an issue, right? Finn said with a cunning light in his eyes, and I nodded as I understood what he was getting at. Ah yes, here Otter. I said, tossing over one of the larger tungsten broadswords I made to sell and the size difference between Ace and Otter holding the sword. Ace holding the large broadsword made it look like a proper large sword, but Otter holding the weapon made it look like only a short sword. Okay, let's do this again. I called out again as I put the slime crown towards my head, and just as before the crown teleported out of my hands and the large king slime made its presence known. Finn hummed smiling and his form was barely a visible blur to me as he stabbed his trident into the king slime. Likewise, Otter and Ace dashed forward to take chunks out of the slime, and I do mean chunks, and seeing the slime probably about to die again to the murder blenders that were level 5 and above adventurers, I quickly shot the slime king with some jester arrows before Otter tensed and he, wielding the tungsten broadsword, carved through the slime so powerfully that the gale of wind he sent with the sword swing scattered the slime's remains and the slime dissolved into the ground as a series of soft thumps rang out as we all received a goodie bag. This is good enough for now, Finn called out as he picked up his goodie bag. This boss is perfect for being a good challenge for a group of level 1s and a single level 2 to transcend their levels, but for us, this monster is too slow and weak to compare to the deep dungeon monsters like Valgang dragons and such. Here Jake, use your storage magic to hold these while we kill the desert scourge, Finn said, throwing his bag to me while Otter did the same with little care, but Ace hesitated before handing it to me. Don't open it, please. I want it to be a surprise. Ace said almost cutely despite her not meaning to, leaving me to only nod in agreement as I stored her bag to the side of the other bags I was given in my inventory. Alright, give me a bit of space to summon the desert scourge, I said as I placed down several blocks worth of desert sand that spread out across the ground. Turns out I needed to be standing on desert sand to summon the desert scourge, which was an annoyance. Taking out the desert scourge's summon item, the desert medallion, I squeezed it and the very earth I was standing upon shuddered, and then the ground exploded as the 10 meters thick massive, armored, and spiked worm hissed as its massive head broke through the surface, and with a crash it attempted to push into the ground towards my direction, but my thoughts were correct as it couldn't break down more than 5 meters through the topsoil before it had it literally chew its way through the hardy Oreo soil that wasn't at all loose like simple desert sand. But the desert scourge had its metaphorical eyes locked upon me, and even as the other adventurers sliced through the monster easily with their great strength, its great size allowed it to weather the blows as it single-mindedly chased after me as its smaller minions broke off to attack Otter and Ace. Fuck this. I cursed, and with a mental thought, my ruby grappling hook shot out from my waist and grabbed onto a nearby boulder that was on the ground, and I was yanked across the battlefield with the desert scourge screeching out in fury as its prey evaded it. Landing back onto my feet, I took out my aquamarine staff and my wolfram controller, and with my newly summoned drone I began laying a hail of magical bolts onto the boss monster. Seeing as we all already damaged the monster, Hedin yelled out so I could hear. "Clear out, I am going to use a spell." He clearly was warning me to get the hell out of dodge, so feeling his lightning magic clearly ramping up, I quickly used the grappling hook to quickly pull me the hell out of there, even if I ended up bashing into the tree I hooked onto. "Strike forever, indestructible general of lightning." Varian Hilder, he yelled, and instead of a hail of lightning spheres from the elf came a pure beam of destruction in the form of blinding lightning that tore through and all but evaporated the desert scourge as the lightning swallowed the boss.